Ada malam. Satu lagi dah lagi. Nah, mana ke lah? Aduh, kan. Wah.
Okay, good evening everyone. So let's start the second session. So actually I'm sorry for the delay because there is a rain here. So hope there will be no disturbances. I think I am audible to you all, and if you can hear me, can you send me a few messages? All right. Okay. So we started the session last week. Still we are in the introduction session. So we can easily complete the rest of the lesson and jump into the second topic. Okay. Hope you are now referring to the lecture notes and you have got the second topic as well. So let me share the screen. Okay, so please come to the classification of taxes. Sometimes we have to classify taxes into different types or categories. Okay, very basic categorization is as per the form of taxes. That is direct taxes and indirect taxes. Even from your A levels, you are learning this classification. Therefore, this is very simple. Okay, based on the form, you can classify taxes as direct and indirect. Now let's see what is the direct tax. They are the person who is liable to pay the income tax has to pay the income tax to the government by himself or herself. Okay, the person who is liable to pay the tax has to pay the tax to the government by himself or herself. Okay, you can tax burden එක තියෙන කෙනාම ගෙවන්න වෙනවා, pay කරන්න වෙනවා government එකට. You can't transfer that to another party. විතෙන් කරන්න බෑ කියලා අපි පොඩි කාලේ ඉගෙන ගත්තා. නේද? නිසා direct taxes are the taxes which should be paid by the taxpayer itself, taxpayer himself or herself. Okay, that is direct taxes. On the other hand, indirect taxes, okay, are paid someone other than the taxpayer. I mean someone other than the person who is liable to pay the tax. Tax burden එක තියෙන කෙනා නෙමෙයි ගෙවන්නේ වෙන පාටි එකක්, වෙන පුද්ගලෙක්. ඒ නිසා තමයි නම ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ indirect taxes කියලා. Okay, so simply if the tax is paid by the person who is liable to pay tax, then it is called as direct taxes. If someone else is paying on behalf of the taxpayer, that is called indirect taxes. Okay, one classic example in any country is income tax for the direct tax. Example for a direct tax is income tax. Okay, එතකොට income tax එක ඒ පුද්ගලයාමයි ගෙවන්න ඕනේ. If I am liable to pay income tax, I have to pay. I can't ask someone else to pay. Okay, ඒකේ responsibility එක ගන්න වෙන්නේ මටමයි. Responsibility එක අතරම pay කරන්න තව කෙනෙකුට දෙන්න පුළුවන්. So I have the responsibility, right? A classic example for an indirect tax is VAT, or in other countries, goods and service. In other countries, goods and service taxes. VAT කියලා තියෙනවා, සමහර අවස්ථාවල goods and service taxes කියලා තියෙනවා. ඔයාලට මතකයි නම් ඔයාලට පුංචි කාලේ මතකයි නම් hope I am clearly audible because there may be disruptions from the rain, but I hope that I am audible to you. If not, please let me know. Right? So what I was telling you, a classic example for an indirect tax is the VAT. VAT in Sri Lanka. Some countries are also using the term VAT, but some countries use the term goods and service taxes. GST කියලා කියනවා. මතක ඇති වල පුංචි කාලේ අපේ VAT කියන indirect tax එක එන්න කලින් අපිට තිබුණේ GST කියන tax එක. ඒ කියන්නේ goods and service taxes. So in an example for indirect tax is VAT. Okay. Another classification of taxes is based on the method. Based on the method. So there we can classify taxes as proportional taxes, progressive taxes, and regressive taxes. Okay, proportional, progressive, regressive. Proportional කියලා කියන්නේ යම් කිසි percent යම් කිසි amount එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ ඇත්තට මේක බලන්නේ activity එකත් එක්ක. ඒ කියන්නේ පිටමකෝ if you purchase a land, okay, so you have to pay a tax as the stamp duty to the provincial income department, income tax department. Okay, so it is a proportional tax. And progressive කියලා කියන්නේ income එක වැඩි වෙනකොට වැඩි වෙනවා. ඒකට තියෙන classic example එක තමයි income tax එක. මම පළවෙනි එක තව චුට්ටක් කතා කරන්නම්, but before that progressive කියන එක දන්නවා. අපි ඉදා කතා කරා principle එකකුත් taxation වල තියෙන progressivity කියන එක. Okay, when the income is higher, the tax should be higher. Okay, so one example for the progressive tax is income tax. Income tax. Okay, and if you take the regressive tax, ඒ කියන්නේ income එක වැඩි වෙනකොට income එකට සාපේක්ෂව tax එක අඩුයි. When the income goes up compared to the income, tax is a lower amount, lower percentage. Regressive අඩු වෙනවා. Okay, all indirect taxes can be considered as regressive taxes. Then අපි හිතමුකෝ 10,000 income එකක් ගන්න කෙනත් එයාගේ consumption එක අපි හිතමුකෝ කන්න බොන්න කියලා. 10,000 income එකක් ගන්න කෙනා කෑමට food සඳහා expenses අපි හිතමුකෝ 5,000 කියලා තිබුණ එකකට. So on that 8% has to be paid. Therefore 5,000 into 8%, 400 has to be paid. Okay, so if you take that as a percentage of income, 400 divided by 10,000. 400 divided by 10,000. Okay, into 100, you can get the percentage. 400 divided by 10,000 multiplied by 100 is 4%. Okay, and if you take a higher income family or person, say for example income is 20,000. Now assuming that though the income is 20,000, you know, food expenses remain constant. ඒ කියන්නේ food එක ඒ කියන්නේ කෑම සඳහා වියදම් කරන ගාන වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා හිතන්න. Okay, or you can say like 6,000, say for example, marginal increase 6,000 you expense for the food and meals. So that into 8%, you have to pay a VAT of 480. So if you take a percentage compared to the income, 480 divided by 20,000 multiplied by 100. 480 divided by 20,000 multiplied by 100, it is 2.4. 2.4%. Now it is clear that the income is higher, but as compared to the income, you pay a lower percentage, 2.4. Income, when the income is higher, the tax that you pay compared to the income is low. Therefore, indirect taxes are regressive taxes. Okay, regressive taxes. So I can write an example for regressive tax, VAT. Lamai, something went wrong, so I lost the connection. Am I audible now? And can you see the screen? Lakshita, are you there? Lamai, how about now? Can't you hear me? Okay, what about the screen? Can you see the screen? All right. Okay, Lamai. So, we might have difficulties, Lamai, right? So we will go this journey, though we have difficulties. Okay. Ara mama edat kiwwe ගඟක් වුණත් ඉතින් අර ගල්පර කඳු අතරින් ගලාගෙන යනකොට මේක සුන්දර වෙන්නේ බාධක තියෙනකොටනේ. නිසා මේකත් මතක් වෙයි සමහර වෙලාවල ඔයාලට මේ COVID-19 නිසා අපි මුණපාපු අපහසුතාවයන්. ඉතින් අපි බලමු ඉස්සරහා වෙනකොට මේක රිසෝල්ව් වෙයි කියලා අපි හිතනවා. But anyway ළමයි, though we have difficulties, we will try to continue. So I told you as per the method, so we can classify taxes as proportional taxes, progressive taxes, and regressive taxes. So I discussed the last two, that is progressive taxes and regressive taxes. Proportional taxes, I mean, irrespective of the income level, you have to pay an absolute amount. Okay, income එක කීය වුණත් අපි හිතමු හැම කෙනාම රුපියල් 1000ක් contribute කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. එතකොට ඒක proportional එකක්. ඒක අපි බලන්නේ ඇත්තට activity එකත් එක්ක. අපි නිකන් හිතමු නිකමට ඒකේ අදහස තේරුම් ගන්න to get the understanding, assume that when you withdraw money from the bank, right, irrespective of the amount you withdraw, assume that you have to pay 10 rupees tax assumption. Okay, assume that when you withdraw money from the bank, irrespective of the amount that you withdraw, if you have to pay 10 rupees tax. Okay, so it is a proportional tax. I think Uday sir can explain 1-2 examples. Uday sir, can you hear me?
Possible to hear. Possible to hear.
Uday sir?
Yes. Yes. What should I explain? Is it proportional? Hello.
Yes sir. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. The proportional taxes, progressive or regressive. Hello.
What is the tax that you referred, sir?
No. I mean, you want me to explain this proportional taxes?
Yeah, proportional one. Proportional tax. Yeah, proportional one. Yes. First one.
Hello. Proportional one. The first one. Now,
yes,
this proportional tax, it has to be understood very clearly. You know, there are some confusions. There are confusions. Yes. The reason being, these proportional taxes are, you know, it has some characteristics of both regressive and progressive taxes. Now, if a tax is charged from a particular payee, irrespective of the income level of a particular source, those taxes are referred as proportional taxes. For example, some government tax from a without considering a particular source, just like you know, it's something like a particular percentage is charged for the rate. When that is charged by the government will not take the entire income of that particular individual or the entity. Therefore, that particular, since the percentage is fixed, that is referred as a proportional tax. And also, stamp duty could be an example. Stamp duty. It is also could be, you know, it could be indicated as an example. Right, when a payment exceeds 25,000 rupees, somebody will have to pay stamp duty of rupees 25. When this 25 is paid, the payee's other income or whatever the employment income or total income is not considered. Therefore, that is a proportional tax. But if we take the whole picture of that particular individual, then that is, you know, it has some other confusion. Say somebody like CFO or director will have total income very high. For that particular individual, 25 rupees is, you know, very insignificant. There is something like a regressive tax. If we take the total picture, when these proportional taxes are considered, the total picture is not taken into account. Only that particular item of income, not the total income is taken. All right.
Right, sir. So it means irrespective of the income for a particular item or particular activity, we have to pay the tax. Now in Sri Lanka, if you remit an amount which is exceeding 25,000, 25 rupees stamp duty has to be paid. Okay, so proportional tax could be a progressive tax or regressive tax. When you compare that with the income එකත් එක්ක compare කරනකොට ඒක progressive වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්, regressive වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. But proportional කියලා කියන්නේ activity එකෙන් proportion එකක්. Okay, if you take an example, stamp duty tax. Stamp duty tax. Lakshita, your question is not that clear. Does the income is the only base of tax? No. Income is not the only base for the tax. Now, say for example, if you purchase a land, okay, irrespective of the income, you have to pay 4% of the land value to the government as stamp duty tax. අපි හිතමු දැන් ලක්ෂිත සල්ලි ටිකක් හොයාගෙන land එකක් මිලදී ගන්නවා කියලා. හරි? අපි හිතමු ලක්ෂ 50කට land එකක් මිලදී ගන්නවා. You are going to purchase a land for 5 million, right? Irrespective of the income, your monthly income or the annual income, your monthly income is, say for example, 5,000 rupees. Okay, so irrespective of the income, you have to pay the stamp duty tax at 4% on the land value to the government. In that case, the basis is the land value. And the example that Uday sir referred, the stamp duty tax, like if you remit an amount exceeding 25,000 to someone, you have to pay 25 rupees stamp duty tax. රුපියල් 25000ට වඩා වැඩි රෙමිටන්ස් එකක් කරොත් එහෙම ඒ මත රුපියල් 25ක ටැක්ස් එකක් ගෙවන්න ඕනේ. එතෙන්ද ඉන්කම් එක කන්සිඩර් කරන්නේ නැහැ. Therefore, income is not the only base to calculate tax. Okay, hope that is clear. And meanwhile, I got a message from one of the IT experts, that is if I close my video, like my camera, so the network will be okay. So shall I off my video? Okay, any other questions? Right, so we'll go to the next slide quickly. So this is about classification of taxes, and I have discussed this statistics last week. In Sri Lanka, the indirect tax is higher than the direct tax. Okay, indirect tax is higher than the direct tax. That is common in developing countries. But when you compare the tax structure of developed countries, this is other way around. Okay, in developed countries, the more percentage will be applicable to direct taxes, less percentage is applicable to indirect taxes. A completely different or opposite composition is available in countries like us. Okay, however, if you look at the trend from 2017 to 19, you see the indirect taxes composition. This is not the absolute amount, composition as a percentage of total revenue, total tax revenue of the government, it has been decreased. Now in 2017 it was 84%, and 2018 82%, and 2019 75%. Okay, we don't know what will happen in 2020 because of the uncertainties, corona case, and VAT rate was further reduced. Okay, lot of policy decisions and unexpected incidents. So even we can't see the trend. After trend එක හිතා ගන්නවත් බෑ in 2020. Okay, we'll see. Okay, and you see the other component, that is direct tax. In 2017 it was 16%. 2018 it was gradually increased to 18%. 2019 it is 25%. Okay, mainly because of the number 17 of number 24 of 2017 new Inland Revenue Act. එකෙන් ගොඩක් දුරට අර බැලුවේ tax net එක කියලා කියන්නේ. පදු දැල tax net එක කියලා කියන්නේ ඒක බදු දැල වැඩිපුර එළලා වැඩි කට්ටියක් එකට කැප්චර් කරගෙන income tax collect කරගන්න තමයි උත්සාහ කරේ. ඒක වැඩ කරලා තිනවා කියලා අපිට පේනවා statistics වලින්. Okay. Okay, do this simple activity, very simple one. Classify each of the following taxes as direct and indirect. So without wasting the time, I will write the answer. First one is VAT is very obvious, indirect tax. Okay. Income tax is a direct tax. And what about stamp duty tax? Send me answers, few answers. Mate ewanna balana answers කීපයක්. Stamp duty tax. Is it a direct tax or indirect tax? Okay, I'm getting answers. Okay. Now you remember the classification. What is direct tax? The person who has the tax burden has to pay the tax to the government by himself or herself. Yeah, in that case, your answers are correct. Most of your answers are correct. Lihini, Ravindu, Dilshan, Pereira, Gimhani. Okay, Lakshita, your answers are correct. Because lama stamp duty එක ගෙවන්න වෙන්නේ ඒ පුද්ගලයාමයි. Burden එක තියෙන කෙනාම තමයි ගෙවන්න වෙන්නේ. You can't transfer that burden to another one. Okay? Therefore, on that basis, stamp duty is a direct tax. Direct tax. Now Lakshit is asking the question, as per the law, a tax can be a direct tax. But in the practice, some people transfer such taxes. අපි transfer කියන එකේ අදහස නැහැ. දැන් හිතන්නකො මම වෙනුවෙන් මගේ on my behalf, if I ask Lakshita to pay that tax, anyway I give that money to Lakshita, and on my behalf Lakshita pays the tax. ඒකෙන් කියන්නේ transfer කරා කියලා. මමනේ සල්ලි ගෙවන්නේ. ගොඩක් තැන් වල ළමයි ගෙවන්න ඕනේ. දැන් stamp duty එහෙම අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ගෙවන්න වෙනවා ඔයාලට. transfer කරන්න බෑ. හරිද? තාම අත්දැකීම් නැතුව ඇති මේ transfer කරන්න බෑ ඒවා. ගෙවන්න වෙනවා. දැන් income tax එකත් එහෙමයි. ඉතින් exceptional cases තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Say for example, in a company, individual income tax of a particular employee will be borne by the company. ඒතර ඒ වගේ අවස්ථාවක අපි ඊළඟ lesson එකේ කතා කරනවා ඒක employment income එක. ඒ වගේ exceptional cases තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, but usually the direct taxes have to be paid by the person who is liable to pay the tax. You can't transfer. Okay, that doesn't mean that you ask somebody else to pay the tax on your behalf, like your assistant or one of your friends can pay the tax on your behalf. You need to reimburse that amount නේ. ඒ පුද්ගලට එක දෙන්න එපා. ඒක නෙමෙයි transfer කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ. අර VAT වගේ එකක් නම් transfer කරනවා. ඔයා ගෙවන්නෙම නැහැ. ඒක transfer කරනවා. Okay, we'll go to the other one. Okay, tax authorities in Sri Lanka quickly. Income tax is under the Inland Revenue Act number 24 of 2017 lamai, please remember this act because we are referring to the Inland Revenue Act number 24 of 2017. මෙන්න මේ act එක මතක තියාගන්න, download කරලා තියාගන්න. මම site එකට දාන්නම් LMS එකට මේ act එක. ඒකෙන් refer කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකේ ගොඩාක් දේවල් තියෙනවා act එකක්. හරි? මේක තමයි අපි refer කරන්නේ. ඒ නිසා මේක ඔයාලා download කරගෙන තියාගන්න. And the effective date of this act is 1st April 2018. එනිසා දැන් ඒක ගැන worry වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. අතරම ගිය අවුරුද්දේ නම් ඒක ගැන worry වෙන්න අවශ්‍ය වුණා. Then anyway it is applicable. Okay, but time to time lamai there may be amendments to the act. Now the government has proposed number of amendments because of the new government policies. They have proposed many amendments to the act. Okay, but due to this corona pandemic case, they were not able to approve and finalize these amendments. It's a තාමත් මේවා මේ amendments තියෙන්නේ ඒ කියන්නේ Inland Revenue Department එක කියනවා okay මේවා තමයි applicable කියලා. හැබැයි tax act එකට තාම amendments කරලා නැහැ. හරි මොකද පාර්ලිමේන්තුව රැස්ුනේ නැහැ. හැබැයි ඉතින් අර finance ministry එක සහ Inland Revenue Department එක කියන IRD එක කියනවා මේ අලුත් proposals අනුගමනය කරන්න කියලා. ඒ කට්ටිය directions දෙනවා. practice එකේ එහෙම තමයි වෙන්නේ. හරි ඒ කට්ටිය directions දෙනවා මේක directions are given by the IRD and the finance ministry to follow the new amendments or new proposals, but the act has not been amended. Then the next one is value added tax. The relevant act is Value Added Tax Act number 14 of 2002. But there are many amendments to the act. 2002 act එකට ගොඩාක් amendments තියෙනවා. අපි කතා කරමු VAT පාඩමේදී. Stamp duty governed by the stamp duty governed by the Stamp Duty Special Provisions Act number 12 of 2006. Okay. Well, definitely we have to download the Inland Revenue Act because that is directly applicable to the course that we are doing. It amateur provincial departments. Then May income tax, value added tax, stamp duty, all three are governed by the Department of Inland Revenue. Okay, simply we call it as IRD. ඔය විජේරාමෙත් තියෙනවා ඔෆිස් එකක් මහරගම මෙට්‍රෝ ඔෆිස් එක තියෙනවා. විජේරාමේ අර මේ මහරගම පැත්තට එනකොට දකුණු පැත්තේ කාගේල්ස් එක තියෙන්නේ. කාගේල්ස් එකේ උඩ තට්ටුවේ. ගිහිල්ලා බලන්න චුට්ටක්. Okay. Tax ගෙවන්න වෙයිද දන්නෙත් නැහැ. ලැබෙන allowance එකේ නේද 5000 you get as an allowance from the audit firm. Maybe you have to pay tax. Okay. So these three taxes are governed by the or administered by the IRD, Department of Inland Revenue. And in addition to these three, there are taxes which are administered by the provincial departments of revenue. Palat Adayan Department to visit. Betting tax. Sudu Fridavaldi given price competition tax. Lottery tax. The lottery එක ඇදුනොත් එහෙම tax ගෙවන්න වෙනවා. Okay, mineral tax, drug and chemical tax. Okay, අපි හිතමු කවුද දැන් ඉන්නේ. අපි ඒවා ගැන කතා කරනවා ඉස්සරහදී. අපි එක්කෙනෙක් ගමු බලන්න. Who is the lucky person? Okay, if I take Lirushi නම ගියා ගන්න තමාරුයි ටිකක්. Lirushi 17444 itu Lirushi ට lottery එකක් ඇදෙනවා say 10 million lottery. Okay, so you don't get 10 million because you have to pay tax on that amount to the government and you get the net amount. We will talk about the lottery tax in future lessons. So these lottery tax, price competition tax, betting tax, mineral tax, drug and chemical tax, all these taxes are administered by the provincial departments of revenue. Okay, and another important authority in Sri Lanka is Department of Custom. Department of Custom. Custom duty charge කරන්නේ නේද? තීරු බදු එහෙම importation මත custom duty mainly they charge custom duty. Okay, ලංකාවට import කරනකොට තීරු බදු අය කරන්නේ custom එකෙන් ලංකාවේ. ඊළඟට තවත් ඒ වගේ වැදගත් ආයතනයක් තමයි one of the important tax authorities in Sri Lanka, excise department. වේගු දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව කියලා කියන්නේ. Basically on liquor and cars, right? They charge taxes. Liquor සහ car, එහෙම නැත්නම් motor vehicles import කරනකොට තමයි අර taxes charge කරන්නේ. මම හිතනවා annual report එකේ chapter number 6 එක කියවලා ඇති දැන්. හොඳ දැනුමක් ඇති. ඒකේ තියෙනවා Department of Customs charge කරන්න මොන වගේ taxes ද? Excise department එක charge කරන්න මොන වගේ taxes ද කියලා. ඒව මතක තියාගන්න කිව්වා. Because the coordinator is there, Udesh answer is there. We told that the question will be tested at the examination from the, on the general understanding about the taxes in Sri Lanka. Okay. Therefore, please read the chapter number 6 of the annual report, Central Bank annual report, and there you can see what are the taxes charged by the Department of Custom and what are the taxes charged by the Excise Department. Okay. මේවා තමයි ආයතන ලංකාවේ තියෙන tax govern කරන්න. Then imposition of income tax. Now this is very important, right? Now as per the section 2, now this section is called as charging section. Okay, charging section in the Inland Revenue Act, charging section. So if you download the Inland Revenue Act, you will see the charging section, section number 2. That is very important. Now in the section number 2, it says who is liable to pay income tax. Now this is about imposition of income tax. Okay, imposition of income tax. So we will be discussing the income tax first, and later on we will be getting into other taxes including VAT. Okay, I discussed the course outline or session plan in the last week. There you saw the indirect taxes including VAT will be discussed in the latter part. Indirect taxes including VAT will be discussed in the latter part of the course. So we will be starting from income tax. Okay, so imposition of income tax. Now as per the section 2 of the Inland Revenue Act, it addresses who is liable to pay income tax. බලන්න ඔයත් ඒ ගණයට වැටෙනවද කියලා. Okay, who is liable to pay income tax? And how frequent, කොච්චර කාලයකට වතාවද, how often you have to pay income tax, on what basis, at what rate. So these 4 questions are addressed by the section 2 of the Inland Revenue Act number 24 of 2017. ඔන්න දැන් ඒක රිෆර් කරලා අපි බලමු ඔයාටත් tax ගෙවන්න වෙයිද කියලා. Okay, who is liable to pay income tax, how frequent, I mean how often, on what basis, and what rate. Okay, keep in mind all these 4 areas or questions. We'll take the first one. Okay, now as per the section 2 charging section of the act, it says imposes the tax of a person. Now very important, the areas that I highlight, person, okay, at the relevant rates on the taxable income. Okay, person at relevant rates on the taxable income for each year of assessment. Okay, those or these phrases are very important. Person, I mean, taxes are imposed for a person at relevant rates on the taxable income of that person for each year of assessment. මේකත් අපි මතක තියාගමු අපි ඉදිරියේදී ගණන් හදනකොට year of assessment කියනකොට y a කියන එක use කරනවා year of assessment කියන එක. Okay, ඒකත් මතක තියාගන්න නිකන් අපි abbreviate කරනවා year of assessment කියන එක ya. paper එකෙත් අපි දෙන්න පුළුවන් ya කියලා, that refers to year of assessment. Okay, now the four things that I have highlighted: tax imposed on a person. දැන් මොන person කිව්වට හිතා ගන්න එපා පුද්ගලයෙක් කියලා. මොකද tax වලදී person කියන්නේ වෙනස්. මම ඊළඟට විස්තර කරනවා, define කරනවා who is a person as per the tax law. Right? A person can be either a resident or non-resident. Resident කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, non-resident කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Let's see how do we define the resident and non-resident. Okay, tax is for a year of assessment. And relevant rates are specified in the schedule 1. ඔන්න මතක තියාගන්න. The schedule 1 එකේ තමයි schedule 1 එක බැලුවොත් rates ටික තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ළමයි මම ඉස්සෙල්ලත් කිව්වා දැන් ඔය act එකේ තියෙන rates applicable නොවෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකට හේතුව act එක තාම amend වෙලා නැහැ. Right? But ළමයි the government announced new changes to the income tax. Okay, they are in the practice as finance ministry and the Department of Inland Revenue both have directed the taxpayers. They are effective, but the amendments have not been incorporated into the act, Inland Revenue Act. Therefore, if you refer the schedule 1 lamai, still you will see the previous rates. Right? 24% ඉස්සර ගෙවුවා individual කෙනෙක් නම් ඒක progressively යනවා. අපි කතා කරනවා ඉස්සරහදී. company නම් 28 ගෙවුවා. ඒතර ඒවා ඔක්කොම දැන් revise වෙලා තියෙන නිසා you have to be careful when you refer the act lamai. Okay, because the new amendments have not yet been incorporated into the act, but they are effective as per the Ministry of Finance and IRD. Okay, on the taxable income, last one is on the taxable income. Okay, so this sentence is very important. Lamai imposes the tax of a person at relevant rates on the taxable income for the year of assessment, for each year of assessment. අවුරුදු දෙකක් එකතු කරලා එහෙම ගෙවන්න බෑ. හරි? For each year of assessment you have to pay tax. Now we are referring to the income tax, not the taxes, not on the other taxes. Okay, අපි බලමු කවුද person කියන්නේ කියලා. Now it clearly says a person, right, is an individual or an entity. Therefore, person definition captures both the individual and the entity. Okay, now tell me a quick response. Is a private limited company an entity? Sorry, is a private limited company a person as per the taxation? Yes. Pereira, Baby Krama, 17425. AMAT. Okay, yes. Therefore, don't get confused. Normally, when we use words, person refer person refers to an individual. Okay. Okay, Fernando says yes. Fernando is saying yes, a legal person but not a natural person. දැන් ළමයි ඌව වැඩක් නැහැ. හරිද? natural ද එයා artificial ද ඒව වැඩක් නැහැ. taxation වලට ආවට පස්සේ tax. So taxation වලදී person කියන්නේ an individual or an entity. Okay, that entity could be an incorporated one or legal entity or whatsoever. මේ බලන්නකෝ. Entity means, okay, entity means a company, a partnership. Now say for example a partnership is not a legal person, isn't it? Okay, a trust barayak but excludes an individual. ඇයි මෙතන කියන්නේ person could be an individual or an entity, right? So entity could be a company, it could be a partnership, it could be even a charity, it could be a trust, but excludes an individual. මොකද ඒක වෙනම address කරනවා. Now is this clear? එතකොට අර ඉස්සල්ලා කි ෆර්නාන්දෝ කිව්වා වගේ මේක natural ද ඉපදිච්ච කෙනෙක්ද වෙන ග්‍රහ ලෝකකින් ආපු කෙනෙක්ද ඒව බදාලා නැහැ. Okay, not relevant. Person is an individual or an entity. So entity could be a company, partnership or trust but excludes an individual. Is this clear? Quickly. All right. Especially Fernando, 16:32. Okay, දැන් හොයන්න එපා මෙයා ජීවත් වෙන පුද්ගලයෙක්ද මැරිලාද මොනවද හොයන්න යන්න එපා. Person is an individual or an entity, right? Okay, good. So we got clarified the definition of person. Okay, now you are a person. Okay, our university is a person, a private limited company or PLC is a person, partnership is a person, your audit firm basically a partnership, therefore it is a person. Okay, right, hope you understood. ඔවා අපිට අහුවෙන්නේ ළමයි දැන් ඔය මේ MCQ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න දෙනකොට දැන් person කෙනෙක් කියලා අහපුවම කම්පැනි එකක් එහෙම දුන්නාම person කෙනෙක් කියලා නෙමෙයි තෝරන්නේ. මම කිව්වේ now when we come to the assessment ළමයි some people, some students do not select company as a person. එයාලා හිතන ඉතින් company එකක් කොහොමද person කෙනෙක් වෙන්නේ? එහෙම නැත්නම් partnership එකක් කොහොමද person කෙනෙක්? But as per the taxation, person includes both an individual and an entity. Okay. So you see the list. Accordingly, a person includes an individual, partnership, trust, body of persons, corporate or unincorporated. You can registered කරපු එකක්, එහෙම නැත්නම් register නොකරපු එකක්, charity එකක් වගේ වෙන්න පුළුවන්, unregistered, unincorporated charity. Okay. Like NGOs, non-governmental organizations, executor, it is there, no? Executor. උදේස මේ executor කියන්නේ අර පොල්මක්කාර කියන එක නේද?
මේ ඒක මට හරියටම අර ඇඩ්මිනිස්ට්‍රේටර් ද කියලා මම හිතනවා.
පොල්මක්කාර කියලා තිබුණේ නේද? අර බාර ඒ කියන්නේ බාර දෙන ප්‍රොපර්ටි එකක් එහෙම එයා වෙනුවෙන් බලා executor.
ඔය මිනිස් මැරෙනවා එහෙමත් සමහර දේවල් ඒ ඉතුරු අයට බාර දෙනකම් අයිති වෙන එක්කිනාටද කිව්වද පොල්මක්කාරයා කියන්නේ.
පොල්මක්කාරයා. දැන් අපිට උදේසවර තියෙනවා 100 acres of land. ඒතර ඒ ටික බලා ගන්න මේ තව කෙනෙකුට දෙනවා. එයා උදේස වෙනුවෙන් ඒක ඇඩ්මිනිස්ට්‍රේෂන් කරනවා. එයාට කියනවා එක්සිකියුටිව්. Okay, non-governmental organizations or charitable organizations. ඒතර ඒ ටික මෙතන කැප්චර් වෙනවා. ඕනම එකක් ළමයි individual or an entity, any entity. Okay. Then we come to the second characteristics of the section number 2 of the Act, year of assessment. That is very simple. The tax year, it starts on the 1st of April. You know that 1st of April and ends on 31st March of the following year. Okay, year of assessment usually starts at 1st of April and ends on 31st March of the following year. But Lama, you can take special directions or directives from the government or IRD to change the year of assessment. Okay, I know some companies have taken the calendar year, which is from 1st January to 31st December as the tax year. It can be, but you have to take a special directive from the IRD. In all other cases, the year of assessment is 1st of April, starting date is 1st of April and ending date is 31st March of the following year. Then ඕකමනේ ළමයි අර companies ඔය tax year එකම financial year එක කරගන්න. ඒකට හේතුව නැත්තම් එයාලට financial reports දෙපාරක් හදන්න වෙනවා. Okay? මොකද tax liability එක ගණනය කරනකොට the basis is the financial statements. Okay, you take the financial statements and convert them, these financial statements as per the taxation law. Right? Now, if your financial year is in line with the year of assessment as per the taxation, it will not be a double work, duplication of work. Right? That is why most of the companies use the tax year as their financial year. Okay. But if you take banks and financial institutions, they use normally the calendar year from January to December. Okay, now example, very simple one, 2019-20, which is the year of assessment that is subject to you. You in the sense for the examination. It is අපි දෙන්නේ year of assessment 2019-20. Okay, ඔයාලගේ exam එකට දෙන්නේ ඕක. Its starting date is 1st April 2019, ending date is 31st March 2020. Okay. මන් දන්නේ ඉතින් එහෙම ට්‍රැක් වුණොත් එහෙම තව මොනවා හරි ආවොත් එහෙම සමහර විට 2021 ගන්න වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. Okay, right, this is clear. And then I told you that a person could be a resident or non-resident. That is very important. Person could be a resident person or non-resident person. Okay, now keep in mind person includes an individual as well as an entity, right? Okay, so residency of a person, because based on the residency lamai, the taxation base or the sources of income will be dependent. I'll tell about it in a while, but before that you should know how to decide the residency of a person. Okay, for an individual, keep in mind this is applicable to individual. Later I take the entities. This is applicable to an individual. For an entity, the residency will be discussed in a while. So for an individual, the primary test is if an individual is present in Sri Lanka, okay, more than 182 days. If an individual is present in Sri Lanka during the year of assessment, okay, more than 182 days. 182කට වඩා වැඩියෙන් හිටියොත්. He is referred as a resident person. 182කට වඩා වැඩි කියන්නේ at minimum a person or the individual should present in Sri Lanka during the year of assessment at least 183 days. Okay, 183ක් වත් හිටියොත් තමයි එයා resident කෙනෙක් වෙලා අපි කියලා ගන්නවා. හරි? ඊට වැඩි අඩු වුණොත් එහෙම non resident. 182 හෝ ඊට වැඩි අඩු වෙනවා non resident. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේක මෙහෙම කියන්න පුළුවන් ඒක mathematics නේ 183 කියලා ගන්න පුළුවන් equal or greater than නේ එහෙම ගන්නත් පුළුවන් resident කියන්නේ equal or greater than 183 ඒතොර including 183 නේ මේක mathematical නේ 183 කියන එක මතක තියාගන්න 182කට වඩා වැඩි වෙන්න ඕනේ අඩුම වශයෙන් 183ක් ඉන්නවා the residual test is assume that a government officer who is a full-time officer of the government, right? He is working abroad. අපි හිතමුකෝ ඔය ඩෙමොක්‍රේ කියන්නේ තියෙන මොකක්ද කියන්නේ අර ඒක වචනේ එන්නේ නැහැ.
expatriate
ඔව් එහෙම තමයි අර සර් මේ ඔය එක එක countries වල කවුද ඉන්නේ අපේ රටේ නියෝජිත
diplomatic servants
yes diplomatic service එකේ ඉන්නේ
diplomatic servants
yeah ambassadors
ලා වගේ කට්ටිය ඒ අර්ථයේ වැඩ කරන ambassador ප්‍රධානියනේ ඒක
yes
වැඩ කරන
ambassador න ambassador embassy එකේ ඉන්නේ ambassador නේ ඔය තියෙන්නේ 17600 JW English alphabet එකම තියෙනවා JWBDRE Pereira හරි embassy thank you. Okay. Now assume that a person who is a full-time government employee, he's an ambassador. He's working in Japan, right? So assume that he present 300 days during the year of assessment, particular year of assessment in Japan. Now, if you use the primary test, that person will not be a resident in Sri Lanka because he presented 300 days out of 365 days in the year of assessment in Japan, right? So if you use the primary test lamai, that person is not a resident person. Therefore, there is another test which is called as residual test. For employees as such, right? Though their presence in Sri Lanka during the year of assessment is even less than 183 days, that person is referred as a resident person. Okay. Therefore, employee or an official of the government, that is very important, government, and his or her spouse, then තනියම යන්නත් බැහැ ළමයි. නේද? බඳපු එක්කෙනෙක් එම නම් ඉතින් පවුලම යනවනේ. බඳපු කාලේ ඉතින් නේද? අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම එකට ඉන්න එපා. එතකොට වයිෆුත් එක්ක යන්නේ කියලා කිව්වොත් වයිෆුත් එහෙමයි ඈ. government employee වෙන්න ඕනේ his or her spouse. Okay. Is posted abroad during the year. Now, in that case, this 183 cutoff is not applicable. Okay. The second exception to the primary test is employee who is employed on a Sri Lankan ship. But it should be a Sri Lankan ship. Okay. Sri Lankan ship. Sri Lanka with the නැව් තියෙන ළමයි ගොඩ බිමේ නෙමෙයිනේ. නැව් තියෙන මුහුදේ. ඒතර ඔය නැව් වල වැඩ කරන කට්ටිය සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මාස 4 5 10 11 තමයි වැඩ කරන්නේ. Okay. Now if an employee government වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. If an employee has been working on a Sri Lankan ship, though the presence in Sri Lanka during the year of assessment is less than 183 days, he is regarded as a resident person. So these two exceptions are decided by the residual test. Is this clear? This is very important because based on the residency, your income sources, which is liable to the income tax, will be dependent. Is this clear? The primary test is 183 days. The primary test is for an individual 183 days or more. Okay, so he is a resident person. That is a primary test. And there are two exceptions that is coming under the residual test. Employee or an official of the government and his or her spouse posted abroad during the year. Okay. The second exception is employee who is employed on a Sri Lankan ship. Now, is this clear, Lamai? Can I have a quick response? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Abhay Singh. Right, anyway. So now we come to the entity. Samarasinghe is asking, the ship has to be owned by a Sri Lankan company or Sri Lankan person. Even if a foreign ship is in Sri Lankan sea, it doesn't count. Yes, Sri Lankan කියන්නේ නම් I think Sri Lankan මේ මුහුදු තීරේ තියෙනවා කියන එක නෙමෙයි. Sri Lankan ship කියලා කියන්නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ පුද්ගලයෙකුට හෝ entity එකකට අයිති ship එකක්. I think Samarasinghe ship එකක් තියෙනවා. Now she is worrying about she or he is worrying about the ownership of the ship. Okay. Okay. Now we come to the activity. Okay, Mr. John is an Australian citizen and he works for a Sri Lankan company. During the year of assessment 2019 and 20, his arrivals and departures were as follows. There are on and off, he has come to Sri Lanka during these periods. Decide whether Mr. John is a resident for the year of assessment 2019 and 20 for the purpose of taxation. For the purpose of taxation. බලන්න ටක් ගාලා මට කියන්න resident ද non resident. ඕක වැරදුනොත් ළමයි ඔක්කොම tax එක වැරදි වල. Decide whether Mr. John is a resident person for the year of assessment 2019 and 20 for the purpose of taxation. Quickly. And send me the answers. And I noticed that very few are sending the answers. Same set of people. But why not others? And when you say, when you send your answers for a question like this, Lama, you can send them as a private message. හැමෝටම යවන්න බෑ අනික කටට පේනවනේ. මේ වගේ question එකක් activity එකකට මම ඇහුවොත් එහෙම you send answers privately. Then only I can see. දැන් ඉතින් ඇඟිලි නමලා calculate එකේ ගහලා ගණනය කරන්න. Okay, so far I got the answer as a resident person. Okay, we'll count. First period from 20th April 2019 to 10th of June 2019. How many days? 10 days for the April, 31 days for the May, then 41, another 6, 47. Sorry. Correct, need 10 days for the April, May, 31, therefore 41, 47. Then the next period, he has arrived on 15th July 2019 එතකොට 16 තියෙනවා මම හිතන්නේ 16 එතකොට 8 month එකට 30 16 plus 30 9 එකට 30 කියලා අපි ගමුකෝ මට හරියට මතක නෑ දින මේ එන් වෙන එක ජූනි 30 ජූලි 31 නේ එතකොට එතන 16යි ඊට පස්සේ roughly ගමුකෝ August 30 September 30 කියලා ගමුකෝ මොකක් හරි 31 වෙන්න ඕනේ October 15 days එතකොට 30 91 විතර වගේ last period from 20th December 2019 to 10th of February 2020 10 days 41 51 all together 9 3 18 is my answer correct oh එයා මට වැඩි calculations දක්ෂයිනේ කියන්නකෝ බලන්න first time slot එකේ 10 days for June it should be 51 ද මේක 51 ද
අඳරුවන්
yes sir
ඒක මේ 52 අර මේ මොකද අර අඩු කරනකොට මැතමැටිකලි එක දවසක් වෙනස් වෙනවනේ
ඒක තමයි නේ 52
මේ තව පුංචි දෙයක් මේ අපේ ස්ටුඩන්ට් කෙනෙක් අහලා තිබ්බා මේ කවුද අහලා තියෙන්නේ මේ ලක්ෂිකා පෙරේරා ලක්ෂිකා පෙරේරා තිබ්බා මේ කොහොමද මේ arrival and departure date වලට ට්‍රීට් කරන්න කියලා මේක චුට්ටක් පැහැදිලි කරනවා arrival and departure both are present in Sri Lanka hello
sir පොඩ්ඩක් ඉන්න මම question එක බලනවා dates එතකොට ලංකාවට ආපු දවස ලංකාවෙන් ගිය දවසයි නේද සර්
දෙකමත් ඉන්නවා කියලා
ඔව් දෙකමත් ලංකාවේ ඉන්නවා කියලා කවුන්ට් කරන්න නම මේක මෙහෙමයි දැන් ඔයාලා ඔක මම දන්නවා කැල්කියුලේටර්ස් අරගෙන කැලෙන්ඩර්ස් අරගෙන මේක හරියටම ගණනය කරනවා ඇති මේක ළමයි දැන් 183 නේ අපේ කට් ඔෆ් එක ඊට වැඩිය ගොඩක් අඩු හෝ වැඩි වෙනවා නම් ආය අර ඒව බල බල ඉන්න එපා හරි හරියටම කට් ඔෆ් එකට ලං වෙනවා නම් තමයි හරියටම කැල් කරන්න otherwise no need ළමයි නේද උදේ සර්
ඔව් ඒක හරි එහෙම කරා
අපි හිතමුකෝ it's apparent that we get like 190 approximately 190 or 95 ඒතර ළමයි අර approximation එකක් ගත්තා නම් ඇති 183ට හෝ 183 හෝ ඊට වඩා වැඩිද කියන එකයි බලන්න ඕනේ 52 පළවෙනි එකේ second එකේ කීයද කවුරුද ගණනය කරපු කෙනෙක් උදේස ඒක හරියද 91
93 මට ආවේ ඒකේ අර මැතමැටිකල් ප්‍රශ්නින්ද බලන්නකෝ අර එක මාසයක් තියෙනවා 30 එකෙන් ඉවර වෙන්නේ ඒ හින්දා වෙන්නේ නැති
right third එකේ sir third එකේ
මම මේ බැලුවා මේ අර chat එක බල බල හිටියා මේ බැරි වුණා ඉන්න මම කියන්නේ
එතකොට
11යි
11යි
31යි ජනවාරි
41යි 51යි
10යි ඔව්
ඒක හරියද
52යි
52යි
ඔව් දෙසැම්බර් 31 නේ
ඔන්න පේනවනේ මගේ කැල්කියුලේෂන් නොලෙජ් එක නේද okay 5 7 14 197 ඒතර ඒ වගේ එනකොට ළමයි අර එක දවසකට ෆයිට් කර කර ඉන්න එපා. ඔයාලත් හරියට නිකන් අර බස් වල යනකොට රුපියල දුන්නේ නැත්නම් ෆයිට් කරනවා වගේ. හරිද? මොකද අපිට ඕනේ මේක නිකන් 183 වලට වඩා වැඩි දර්ද කියලා බලා ගන්න විතරයි. ඔන්න හරියටම 182 183 5 වගේ එනවනම් චුට්ටක් you have to become මේ concern. Okay, so it is greater than or equal to 183. Therefore, the answer is resident. Okay. Right. If you have questions you can raise. සමහර විතර නැති මේකේ කවුන්ට් එක හරියටම ගණනය කරලා කොහේ හරි ඩිස්ප්ලේ කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ වගේ ඇති කියලා. එහෙම නෑ ළමයි. ප්‍රැක්ටිෂනර්ස්ලා මේක ඩිසයිඩ් කරලා තියෙනවා එච්චරයි. Okay. Then we come to the residency of a person or an entity. Any question? Now this is the residency of a entity, like a company or charity or partnership, trust. Okay. දැන් ඔතෙන්ද එහෙම දවස් ගාන ගණනය කරන්න එපා. කම්පැනි එකක් ඉතින් කලවගෙන ගිහිල්ලා අය කරන්නේ. හරිද? ඒ නිසා අර දවස් ගාන කියන එක අදාළ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Okay, primary and secondary tests are not applicable for an entity to decide the residency. Okay. So for partnerships, the criteria for residency are formed or management and control exercised in Sri Lanka. The condition is O. Okay. ඒ කියන්නේ partnership එක form කරේ, ඒ කියන්නේ register කරේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ නම් ඒක resident. අය කතා කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. අය බලන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් වෙනත් country එක register කරලා තියෙන හැබැයි management එක තියෙන ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ නම් ඒකත් ඒත් resident. It's a condition is O. Basically ඔයාලා බලන්න මේකේ පොඩි pattern එකක් පෙනේ registration or management. Okay. If the registration is done in Sri Lanka, it is a resident company or entity. Or if the management of the entity is exercised in Sri Lanka, still it is a resident company or entity. Okay, it's a common එකක් වලට පෙනේ. බලන්නකො second එක trust එකක් බාරයක් established in Sri Lanka. Or trustee is a resident Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka. Or the management by a resident in Sri Lanka. බලන්න එතනත් තියෙන pattern එක establishment එක ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ එහෙම නැත්නම් management එක කරන්නේ resident කෙනෙක්. The company, that is very important for you because most of the organizations are in the form of companies. Okay, incorporated in Sri Lanka or registered or principal office is in Sri Lanka. Or management and control exercised in Sri Lanka. So what I want to highlight here, the main two criteria to decide an entity as a resident is the registration or incorporation and the management. Okay, if either condition is satisfied, that entity is regarded as a resident entity in Sri Lanka for the purpose of taxation. Is that clear? නිසා මේක එකින් එක මතක තියාගන්න එපා ළමයි registration එක එහෙම නැත්නම් formation එක එහෙම නැත්නම් incorporation එක ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේද කියලා බලන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් management එක ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේද කියලා බලන්න. ওই දෙකෙන් එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක resident entity එකක්. Clear? Okay. දැන් respond කරන කට්ටිය අපි index numbers ටික තියෙනවනේ වැඩිපුර ලකුණු ටිකක් දෙනවා. respond කරන්න නැති කට්ටියට ලකුණු ගන්න කපනවා. එතකොට minus තමයි එන්නේ. result sheet එකේ -2000. That is the marks given for the taxation subject. Okay. So we have all the reports. අපි report එක මේකේ එනවා. ඔන්න දැන් මේක මතක තියාගන්න මේක very important. Now we decided a person whether that person is a resident or non-resident. Person includes both an individual and an entity. Okay, keep in mind. Okay, a question is raised by Aruna Dilanga or Dilanga, should be Dilanga. So if there is a lamai dan make mother commonly ඔය වගේ question එකක් raise කරද්දී private කියවන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මම එදත් කිව්වා if you ask the question ළමයි others also benefited. Okay, now if you ask the question regarding the lesson that can be sent to everyone, because others can also see the question and they can also be benefited. But if you send an answer to an activity, those answers can be sent privately. Okay, so keep in mind, right? But anyway, Aruna Dilanga is asking if there is a branch office of a foreign company in Sri Lanka, is it a resident? Branch එකක් නම්. What is the answer? If I forward that question to you, branch. Okay, quickly. What is, as you think, what is your answer? ළමයි ඉතින් control එක බලන්න branch එකක් කිව්වම ඒක entity එකක් වෙන්නේ නෑනේ. නේද? ඒ කියන්නේ business එකක් ගැන මේ කිව්වේ. Therefore, I think it is regarded as a non-resident. There, sir, any idea? එතකොට නේද remittance tax එහෙම ගන්න සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඒකනේ ඒවට තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙහි profit එක එහෙට remit කරනකොට remittance tax එහෙම ගන්න ඒකනේ. Udeshant sir?
Yes, yes. Those are non-resident.
Non-resident, yeah.
Non-resident.
එහෙමනම් ළමයි ඔය remittance tax එහෙම තියෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැනේ. දැන් එහෙමනම් අර person කියන definition එකට වැටෙන්න නම් ඒක කියන්න ඕනේ. Any branch or unit or division of a company or organization operated in Sri Lanka වගේ තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම එකක් එන්නේ නැහැ. person කියන definition එකේම නැහැ. Okay, Tavindu has sent they have to pay based on their revenue earned in Sri Lanka, not based on the world income. Now that depends on the residency. I will come to that point in a while. Yeah, branch operated in Sri Lanka means the management is undertaken in other country, in the mother country. Okay. I mean, Tavindu's answer is correct, but I come to that point in a while. Answer for that question, actually, that is a very good question. Therefore, the answer for the question is non-resident. Branch is for branch of a foreign company. Branch of a foreign company is a non-resident. Okay. Okay. Now let's see. How do we tax for a resident and non-resident? Okay. Now the first situation is person resident in Sri Lanka. Now keep in mind, person includes an entity as well. Okay, පටලවා ගන්න එපා. Person includes an entity as well. Okay. Now if you decide an individual or an entity is a resident in Sri Lanka for the year of assessment for the purpose of taxation, okay, taxation, read it. In the case of resident person, person includes, repeatedly I am telling that person includes the entity as well. The person's income from the employment, business, investment and other sources for the year of assessment, irrespective of the income source. ඒ කියන්නේ income from Sri Lanka and income from other countries. තියෙනවා නම් income from other countries. irrespective of the income source. Wherever the source arises, that is world basis taxation. So මතක තියාගන්න resident කෙනෙක් නම් එයාගේ මුළු ආදාය මේක ලංකාවෙන් ගත්තද Maldives වලින් ගත්තද USA වලින් ගත්තද doesn't matter, total income එක මත tax කරණය කරන්න ඕන. Okay, but if the person is decided as a non-resident in Sri Lanka as per the primary and secondary test residual test for an individual, and as we discussed for an entity, if we decide a person as a non-resident, okay, person's income from employment, business and investment or other sources for the year of assessment, to the extent that the income arises in or derived from a source in Sri Lanka. In a මෙතන එන්නේ මෙන්න මේ පළවෙනි කැලේ විතරයි. Income from Sri Lanka. Is this clear? Okay, that is why I told you deciding residency is very important for the tax calculation, right? If you make a wrong decision, your tax calculation will be wrong, and you might have to pay the penalties as well. Okay, therefore Tavidu's answer is correct, but that is not that relevant to the question raised. Okay, but what you are referring for a non-resident is correct. Any questions on this? Double tax ළමයි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් අපෙන් අහනවා ගෙවින්දු won't the resident face with any double taxation then? Maybe. And maybe there may be sometimes there may be concessions, so like tax relief. ගොඩක් දුරට ළමයි මෙහෙමයි තියෙන්නේ. මම ඒක generally කියන්නම්. The ලංකාවේ foreign currency අර්බුදයකනේ ඉන්නේ. Who knows the foreign currency reserves in Sri Lanka? I mean the amount roughly. මට ටක් ගාලා කියන ලංකාවේ තියෙන foreign currency reserve එක කීයද කියලා? කවුරුද ඇහුවොත් එහෙම? Foreign currency reserve, yes, it's approximately 8 billion US dollars, right? 8 billion US dollars. It is very small amount lamai, because now as per the Google and Apple and Amazon එකේ brand name එක විතරක් තියෙනවා 220 billion US dollars. Amazon brand name එක විතරක්. Google is closer to that. Apple is closer to that. Okay, and on the other hand lamai, from our GDP, like 90%, approximately 90% loans, debts, 90. So basically, we have taken loans from the foreign countries, so we have to repay them. එතකොට ගොඩාක් ළමයි bank loan repay කරන්නම foreign currency යනවා. In addition to, we import vehicles, ඒකනේ දැන් import vehicle importation එක තහනම් කරේ මාස 6ක් යනකම්. Now you can't import vehicles. Okay, so we are in a crisis of foreign currency lamai. So what I wanted to tell you now, for the income from other countries lamai, normally we give tax concessions. The ලංකාවේ නම් ලංකාවට foreign currency ගේනවා නම් අපි ඕන තරම් tax concessions දෙනවා වර්තමානයේ. tax කරන්නේ නැහැ. හරි? මොකද we are in a crisis of foreign currency. ඒතර double tax කියන එක ඒක අර avoid වෙලා තියෙන එහෙමයි. We encourage foreign currency earners, right? Then there are many questions. So how Lakshita Pereira, how months our reserve sufficient for the imports. Actually, I have to calculate that. Maybe 2 to 3 months. හරියට බැලුවොත්. අපේ export income එක එහෙමත් දැන් නවතිලා තියෙන්නේ. හැබැයි ඉතිහාසයේ අපේ tea industry එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම සෑහෙන ඉතිහාසයක් තියෙනවා, more than 150 years මම හිතන්නේ 130 50 years. ඉතිහාසය ගත්තාම the highest price that we are getting for tea ever in Sri Lankan history. Okay, ලංකාවේ වැඩිම තේ මිල වාර්තා වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ පීරියඩ් එකේ ඉතිහාසය ගත්තාම තේ වවපු කාලේ ඉඳලා ගත්තාම තේ වලට තියෙන වැඩිම මිල ලංකාවේ. මොකද maybe that there was a news like for the corona to increase the immunity of the person, the tea is a good medicine. Okay, so ලංකාවේ tea එකට very high demand, have very high demand. Therefore these period we have got the highest price ever in the Sri Lankan history for the tea. ඒ වගේ foreign earnings තියෙන්නේ බොහොම අර traditional level වගේ විතරයි. ඉතින් ළමයි අපි ලොකු අර්බුදයක ඉන්නේ. ඒ වගේම මම කතා කරන්නේ මොකද taxation නිසා. That is why the major or critical decisions have been taken by the government to curtail the imports from other countries. They are going to prioritize the imports. That is very good, as I think. Then Lihini Walavage, there are a lot of questions, Lamai. Come on. What about the multinational companies? Should we consider it as a non-resident? Yes, Lamai. Multinational companies වල හැබැයි මෙහෙ දැන් Unilever වගේ ගත්තොත් එහෙම ඒකේ management එක මෙහෙනේ වෙන්නේ. branch එකක් නෙමෙයිනේ multinational companies වල යන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ branch level එකේ නෙමෙයි ඊට වැඩි එහා ගිය එකක් multinational companies. ඒකට multinational කියලා කියන්නේ. Not like a single branch. Uday sir, in that case, maybe a resident company, no?
Sandharwan sir, many of the multinational companies, they have also, registered, Lanka register කරලම තමයි ඒක කරන්න දෙන්නේ.
ඔව්.
මොකද නැත්තම් ඒක ගොඩක් exploitation එකකටත් එන්න පුළුවන්.
එන්න පුළුවන් ඒක හරි.
register කරලා. ඔයාට ඇහෙනවද මං කියන්නේ?
එතකොට resident කියන category එකට අහු වෙනවා.
ඇහෙනවද?
ඔව් සර්. ඔව්. එතකොට resident කියන category එකට අහු වෙනවා.
resident කියන category තමයි ගොඩක් multinational companies සම්බන්ධ.
Right.
ඔව් අහු වෙනවා. register කරන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ ගොඩක් business. මොනවා හරි එක මේ actually නේ ගන්නවා. එහෙම නොවන isolated ඒවා තිබ්බොත් තමයි එහෙම වෙන්නේ.
Yeah. ළමයි ඉතින් අර criteria වලින් බලන්න දැන් මගෙන් අහන අරුණ දිල්රන්ග then is an overseas company a non-resident. ඒවා එච්චර හිතන්න එපා. ළමයි බලන්න ඒක entity එකක් ලෙස registered ද ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ. registered නම් resident. අපි කතා කරන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් entity එකක් ලෙස large entity එකක් ලෙස management එක ලංකාවේ ඉඳලාද කරන්නේ. එහෙමනම් ඒත් resident. එහෙම නැත්නම් non resident. ඉතින් අපිට overall ඒ කියන්නේ හැමෝටම හරියන උත්තරයක් දෙන්න බෑ. You have to look at that based on the criteria. Foreign companies registered in Sri Lanka, yes. Registered in Sri Lanka means the registered office is run in the Sri Lanka, therefore it is a resident company. ඒක තමයි මම දැන් ජයසංක මගෙන් අහනවා so a person can be charged tax for the same income in two countries. ඒක තමයි double tax කියලා කිව්වේ. මම කිව්වේ ඒකලම double tax කියන එක වෙන්න පුළුවන්. I think countries like Aslamai, we always encourage foreign income earners. Therefore, we do provide more tax concessions to them. And samane tax concessions godak api denawa. Okay, anyway lamai මෙන්න මේ දෙක මතක තියාගන්න. Resident නම් the income earned irrespective of the source arises. That is income from Sri Lanka and income from other countries will be taxed. Okay. එතනත් ළමයි මේවට concessions ගොඩක් දෙනවා. Income from other countries වලට concessions ගොඩක් දෙනවා. Right? And if the person is a non-resident, the income generated in Sri Lanka will be taxed. Okay, I think that is clear. Okay, income chargeable with tax. I told you on the taxable income of a person, taxable income. Okay, the taxable income consists of these four sources. Okay, employment income, business income, investment income, income from other sources. It's already hitanna puluwan ape ඊළඟ lessons කොහොමද යන්නේ කියලා. Next lesson is employment income, then business income, then investment income, then income from other sources. අපේ lesson outline එක තියෙන ඔන්න ඔය ආකාරයට. ඔය ටික මතක තියාගන්න. Employment income, business income, investment income and income from other sources. Okay. Right. Calculation of tax. So we take the assessable income. Assessable income is the summation of taxable income from employment, business, investment and other sources. Okay. I think you need to get right now. Camera photo okay. Assessable income. Assessable income is the taxable income from employment, business, investment and other sources. Assessable income. Please remember. Income from employment, income from business, income from investment and other sources. And less qualifying payments and relief. There are two aspects, qualifying payments and relief. Number 1 and number 2. දැන් මොන මේ දවස්වල COVID-19 අරමුදල ෆන්ඩ් එක ක්‍රියේට් කරානේ. ඒකට ඩොනේට් කරොත් එහෙම ක්වොලිෆයින් පේමන්ට් එකක්. tax relief දෙනවා. අපි කතා කරනවා මේවා ගැන detail. අපි අඩු කරනවා less. Then we get taxable income. Please be familiarized with these words. Assessable income are the income from employment, business, investment and other sources. Okay? And from the assessable income we deduct or we subtract qualifying payments and relief. Qualifying payments and relief. Okay, then we get taxable income. And the taxable income should be multiplied by the relevant tax rates. I told you tax rates are available in the first schedule of the Inland Revenue Act. Then we get tax. First schedule එක බලන්න හැබැයි දැන් බැලුවට වැඩක් නෑ ළමයි ඒක අප්ඩේට් වෙලා නැහැ. ඒකෙන් subtract කරන්න අඩු කරන්න tax credits. උදාහරණයක් ලෙස ඔයාලා advance payment ගෙවනවා. අපි ඒකට කියනවා advance payment of income tax. APIT කියලා කියනවා. Example. Advance payment of income tax. Tax. So this format is very important, Lamai, because this is applied to all the sources. Income from employment, income from business, income from investment and other sources. So please remember this format. This is very important for the knowledge as well as for the course, for the examination. Therefore, accessible income is the income from all four sources, less qualifying payments and relief. There are two deductions, qualifying payments and relief. Then you get taxable income and apply the tax rates, relevant tax rates from the first schedule of the act, but they have been amended. Amendments have not been incorporated still in the act. Okay, we will tell you the amendments. And less tax credits such as advance payment of income tax, then you get the tax payable to the government. Okay, hope you all have written down the way the tax is calculated. Right. Okay, we have two simple questions. Everybody is paying tax. Do you agree? Quick response. Very simple. No. Lihini. Lihini හිතනවා ඉතින් මම tax ගෙවන්න බෑ. ඒ නිසා හැම කෙනාම tax ගෙවන්නේ. Okay, Fernando is saying a certain annual income is tax free. But it doesn't mean the income tax or direct tax. Okay, it's about paying tax. Simple question lamai. Tax given on හැම කෙනාම නේද? Even the beggar, even the cleaner, okay, pays the tax. Mainly the indirect tax. Now if you purchase a pen or book, the indirect tax is included in the price. Therefore, yes, answer is B. Answer is yes. වල පටලව ගන්න නැති tax කිව්වහම income tax නෙමෙයි මේ කතා කරේ. Tax කියලා අහන්නේ. So tax includes both income tax and indirect taxes such as VAT. Then second one, yeah, I have got yes. No, you do mistakes. Fernando මම දන්නේ නැහැ මොකද්ද මුල නම කියලා. සමහරවිට තාත්තර බයිනවා කියලා හිතනවත් දන්නෙත් නැහැ. හරිද? ඔය ස්පීකර්ස් එම වැඩි කරන්නේ අන්තිමේට සර්නේම් එකෙන් තියෙන්නේ බැන්නට පස්සේ තාත්තර බයිනවා කියලා හිතාගෙන තාත්තා අපිට කම්ප්ලේන්ට් කරයි. මේ ළමේ කැම්පස් එකේ අපිට තියෙන කරදරේ කියලා. Okay? Right. So the answer is yes because even some people, although some people don't pay income tax, they anyway have to pay the indirect taxes. Okay. Number 2, taxation is the best way to collect revenue to the government. Do you agree? Kind of a debatable question. Okay, Chamini says an interesting answer, easiest, not the best sometimes. Okay, anyway, good. Lakshita has a different answer. Anyway, lamai government needs revenue. Government එක revenue ඕනේ government එකට. නැත්තම් කොහමද අපි කියපු primary objective එක achieve කරගන්නේ? Okay, lamai, this is a debatable question. You may have your own answer or your standpoint. Himasha is saying it would be the best best one when having the transparency. Okay, Nimeshi, indirect taxes such as VAT is a good way to collect revenue to the government. No, because in most developed countries, non-tax revenue is more than the tax revenue. Is that lamai? Okay, the answer 17. Lakshita says it it would be better if government has businesses which earn profit. Ganesha says there are lots of ways to collect revenue to the government. Tabindu, I think it's based on sometimes in their economic level. For an example, when considering USA government has will proceed through their own government business, but in here it's completely different. Okay, so lot of answers, different perceptions. So we value the different perceptions, different ideas. So there is no exact answer for this question. It depends actually. The thing is lamai capitalist societies වල government business කරනවා හරි අඩුයි. මොකද capitalization ධනවාදයෙන් යන්නේ. එතකොට more power කියන්නේ economy එකේ power එක තියෙන්නේ basically the private sector and government corporations තියෙනවා. හැබැයි උදේසරුත් අදහසක් දෙයි. Maybe a different answer or different perception. So lamai in my case the definition of tax is a compulsory contribution to the government revenue. Compulsory contribution to the government revenue based on the income of from the income of persons. Okay, so it would be a best way because my government does not do lot of profit earning activities. ගොඩාක් කරන්නේ මොකද කැපිටලිස්ට් සොසයිටිස් වලට ගොඩක් තියෙන්නේ සෝෂලිස්ට් තියෙන රෂියා වගේ ගත්තොත් සෝෂලිස්ට්. හැබැයි අනිත් ඔක්කොම කැපිටලිස්ට් වගේ ඒවා තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ තැනකදී මම හිතනවා tax is the best way to collect the revenue. Only thing is lamai the government should be there to develop the economy, right? Then if the economy is developed, okay, people can pay taxes. The government එකේ රාජකාරී වෙනවා economy එක develop කරන්න. the economy එක develop කරාම a compulsory contribution can be taken to the government back to achieve the primary objective, that is to cover the expenditure, public expenditure. Okay, ඒ නිසා මම හිතනවා ඒ context එකේ is the best way. හැබැයි ඉතින් අර අපි වගේ economy එක develop කරන්න නැතුව tax ගන්න එක නෙමෙයි burden එකක් කරන එක නෙමෙයි economy එක develop කරන අතරේ ඒකෙන් කොටසක් ගන්න එක. ඒක තමයි මම හිතනවා හොඳම Udeshant sir, any idea? Udeshant sir?
The answer is, it's quite arguable.
Yes, arguable.
Now, some of the students are saying that because of their economics knowledge, taxation should be set at a very lower level. But for many of the developed countries, direct taxes are very, very high.
Yeah. Anyway, the tax is high, no? Yes, sir.
Tax is high. Direct taxes in the sense.
Composition may be different to ours, that of ours, but the tax revenue is higher. Yes, sir. Udeshant sir?
Now, there are some countries, Sandharva?
Yes, sir.
And students, there are some countries where the taxation is introduced very recently, like there are some Middle East countries where they have a lot of oil reserves. They do not have very, very complex tax system since they have a lot of money. For all the other countries, they have some sort of taxation income to the government.
Yeah.
So, so that is, therefore, it is one of the best way to collect revenue to the government easily.
Yes.
Easily. Otherwise, what will happen? Government will have to run business. After running the business, what will happen? Profit should be earned.
Yeah.
Then this profit also, one thing is when the profit is earned by the government institution also should pay tax, no?
Yes.
As per the tax laws in almost
Yeah.
all the countries.
Yes. Okay. What you can do is you can argue to either side. Okay. As this says, there are countries who basically rely on the other income from other sources, like Middle East countries. On the other hand, there are countries which are developed countries who based on the tax revenue. Okay, because their economy is developed, so they charge a higher percentage of tax from the persons on their income. Okay, composition may be different, but their tax revenue is high. So in that case, you can argue tax is the best way to collect the revenue to the government. Only thing is, Lamai, if the government develop the economy, so they can collect taxes from the persons to cover up their expenditures. So you can argue either way, doesn't matter. So with that, I will finish the today's lesson, Lamai. I actually plan to start the second one as well because of the connection problems and the other reasons. So we are unable to start the second topic. මම කිව්වා ඉතින් හදිස්සියේ බැරි වුණොත් එහෙම රාත්‍රී 12 ඉඳලා 3 වෙනකන් අපිට අතිරේක පන්තියක් එහෙම ගන්න පුළුවන්. හරි ඒ වගේ පන්තියක් අපි දාමු from 12 midnight to 3 a.m. Okay, so with that I finished the today's lesson or today's topic, so we can get into the employment income next day. That is very important. So with that note, let me end the today's session, and thank you everyone for actively participating to the session, and yes, I'm getting messages. All right, thank you messages. Okay, thank you everyone, and you are please Lamai, please actively participate with this, otherwise අපිටත් මේක එපා වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා කොහොම හරි මේක කරගෙන යන්න. ඉතින් අමාරුවෙන් වුණත් ඒ නිසා මේ වගේම actively හැමෝම participate වෙන්න. So we can learn something. Okay, thank you everyone, and good night. So from my end, I'm going to end the meeting.